An EU passport unlocks the legal right to work and build a life across 27 countries. And despite Portugal shutting its famous golden visa property route, there are still places in Europe where relatively affordable real estate can start that journey. These 5 countries are where a relatively modest property investment can start that entire journey. Let's start with Greece. Greece still operates one of Europe's most recognized golden visa programs, and depending on where the property is located, the investment threshold can still come in at a surprisingly accessible level. In lower demand regions and smaller islands outside the major urban centers, qualifying property thresholds are significantly lower than the €800,000 requirement that now applies to Athens, Thessaloniki, Mykonos, and Santorini. In these alternative zones, investment minimums can sit considerably closer to the $250,000 range, and savvy buyers are increasingly targeting areas in northern Greece, the Peloponnese, and lesser-known Aegean islands, where values remain more affordable. The residency pathway works like this. A qualifying property purchase grants a renewable 5-year residency permit. That permit can keep renewing as long as the investment is maintained. After 7 years of legal residence, a citizenship application becomes possible under Greek naturalization law. An EU passport, at that point, is the destination. The lifestyle advantage here barely needs explaining. Greece offers one of the most genuinely compelling living environments in the world. The catch is that investment thresholds vary enormously by location. Anyone assuming they can buy at the lowest possible price point needs to research specific regions carefully, because the wrong municipality could push that minimum into an entirely different budget category. Due diligence on location is not optional here. If Greece sounds compelling, but the budget is the priority concern, the next country may offer the most underrated entry point in all of Europe. Number 2, Bulgaria. Bulgaria rarely appears on the shortlist when people research EU residency, and that is precisely why it deserves attention. Property here is genuinely affordable. Coastal towns along the Black Sea, ski resort areas like Bansko, and even second-tier cities are producing legitimate real estate for anywhere between $60,000 and $75,000. For context, that is among the lowest property price entry points of any EU member state currently operating a residency pathway. Here is how residency works in Bulgaria. Property ownership alone is not sufficient to automatically qualify for residency. And this is the catch that trips up a lot of first-time researchers. The legal basis for temporary residence needs to come through an accompanying qualifying factor, which might include registered business activity, passive income documentation, or another recognized legal ground. Once temporary residence is established and maintained, the pathway to permanent residence opens. And after 5 years of permanent residence specifically, citizenship becomes accessible through naturalization. That 5-year permanent residence requirement makes Bulgaria one of the faster theoretical timelines in this entire video for reaching EU citizenship status. The lifestyle and investment angle is genuinely compelling. Low flat tax rates, a low cost of living compared to Western Europe, growing expat communities in Sofia, and the appeal of Black Sea coastal access during warmer months all contribute to a strong quality of life. Property maintenance costs remain low, and rental demand in tourist areas offers income potential. The important reminder is that structure matters here. Buying property without setting up the correct legal residency framework wastes time on the citizenship timeline. Working with a local attorney who understands Bulgarian immigration law is not a suggestion. It is a requirement. Bulgaria gets overlooked because it does not come with the glamour of some of its EU neighbors. But if the objective is an EU passport through the most cost-effective real estate route available, it deserves serious consideration. For deeper breakdowns on residency timelines, property thresholds, tax systems, and the countries that did not make this list, Horizon Insider is linked below the video. Speaking of overlooked destinations with serious upside, The third country might genuinely surprise people. Number 3, Romania. Romania is having a moment. Not in the traditional golden visa sense, because Romania does not operate a formal investment for residency program the way some countries do. But what it does offer is some of the most affordable urban property in the entire European Union, combined with a naturalization pathway that rewards long-term committed residents. Property prices in cities like Cluj-Napoca, Iasi, and even parts of Bucharest can start from around $50,000 to $75,000 for smaller apartments in established neighborhoods. These are not sleepy provincial towns. These are cities where real economic momentum is building. The residency pathway in Romania requires a qualifying legal basis such as employment, business registration, or documented passive income at a sufficient level to demonstrate self-sufficiency. Property ownership strengthens ties to the country and reduces housing costs. But again, it does not by itself trigger a residency grant. Think of affordable Romanian property as the foundation of a low-cost, long-term lifestyle strategy, rather than a direct visa mechanism. After approximately 8 years of legal residence, Romanian citizenship through naturalization becomes available. Romania also holds a specific advantage that many people do not know about. As an EU and NATO member that joined Schengen in 2024, a Romanian passport now carries the full weight of EU free movement rights. The catch is the time commitment. 8 years is a long runway. But for someone genuinely interested in building a life in a dynamic, affordable, fast-growing European country, those 8 years can be spent living well at a fraction of Western European costs, while building equity in a rising property market. And now we move from the cheapest options into the countries targeting more serious investors. Drop a comment below right now. Which of these 5 countries feels most realistic for your actual situation? Is it the lifestyle of Greece? The affordability of Bulgaria? Or the tech scene in Romania? The answers might be more interesting than expected. Now this next country changes the numbers completely. Number 4, Hungary. Hungary's guest investor program launched relatively recently and immediately attracted attention for being one of the newer structured investment for residency pathways in the EU. The program offers multiple investment routes, including a real estate fund investment option and a direct property purchase route, with minimum investment thresholds that sit well above the $75,000 entry point discussed throughout this video. The realistic baseline for the real estate fund route runs considerably higher, placing Hungary in a different budget tier than Bulgaria or Romania. So why is Hungary on this list? Because for someone with a larger investment capacity, it represents a strategically exceptional location. Budapest is one of the most livable and economically dynamic cities in Central Europe. The rental market is strong, particularly in central districts where short-term and long-term rental demand from business travelers, students, and tourists remains consistently high. Operating costs are low relative to Western European capitals, and Hungary's flat tax system is among the most investor-friendly in the EU. The residency pathway through the guest investor program provides renewable residence permits that allow the holder to live in Hungary and travel freely within the Schengen zone. The program does not directly accelerate citizenship, which in Hungary generally requires around 8 years of continuous legal residence under standard naturalization pathways. The catch worth emphasizing is straightforward. The investment minimum is meaningfully higher than $75,000, which places it out of reach for the entry-level budget this video is primarily addressing. However, for someone willing to scale their investment, Hungary offers a compelling Central European base with solid financial logic behind the real estate component. If Hungary's investment level is out of range, or if the priority is an English-speaking environment with maximum European connectivity. The 5th country solves both problems simultaneously. Number 5, Malta. Malta is the only EU member state where English is an official language. It sits in the Mediterranean between Sicily and the North African coast. It has a deeply stable economy an established financial services sector, and a legal and governmental infrastructure built on British common law traditions. For Americans specifically, the cultural and linguistic familiarity of Malta is genuinely significant. Malta's permanent residency program, known as the MPRP, is a structured government-administered pathway that grants permanent residency through a combination of a government contribution, a qualifying property purchase or rental commitment, and a charitable donation. The property purchase route requires a minimum real estate investment of approximately $190,000 in most regions of Malta, or a lower threshold if the property is located in the designated Southern Malta or Gozo areas. The overall package, including contributions and donations, pushes the total commitment higher than the base property cost alone. Once permanent residency is granted under the MPRP, the holder can live in Malta indefinitely. The important nuance around citizenship is that permanent residency under the MPRP does not automatically create a direct citizenship track on a fixed timeline. Long-term residents who subsequently meet Malta's naturalization requirements, including extended periods of genuine legal residence, can eventually pursue citizenship. But the process is distinct from the residency program itself. The lifestyle advantage is exceptional. Malta offers year-round warm weather, a deeply cosmopolitan expat community, and one of the easiest cultural transitions for English speakers anywhere in Europe. The catch is the cost. Malta has the highest upfront financial commitment of any country in this video. The combination of the property purchase, government contribution, and required donation makes this the premium option on the list. But for the right buyer, premium is relative when the end result is permanent residency in an English-speaking Mediterranean EU nation. Before moving to the final comparison, here is a question worth sitting with. If there is $75,000 sitting in a savings account right now, earning modest interest, what is that money actually doing? Because in the right country, that same money could be a property deed. It could be the beginning of a residency application. It could be the first chapter of an EU passport story. Would you trade $75,000 in a savings account for a real European backup plan? That is worth serious thought. If you decide to scout any of these countries in person, Kiwi, Saili, and Expedia links are all below to help with flights, data, and accommodation while researching properties. Now, here is the summary that makes the decision clearer. Best option for English speakers, Malta. The language barrier is completely eliminated. The lifestyle is Mediterranean and sophisticated. The residency program is government structured and transparent. The cost is the highest on the list. But for the right buyer, the premium is justified by the quality and familiarity of the environment. Best urban growth potential. Romania. Cluj-Napoca and Bucharest are genuinely exciting emerging cities. Property is cheap. The tech economy is expanding. The cost of living allows for a high quality of life on a modest budget. The 8-year citizenship timeline is long, but the economic fundamentals make the wait financially logical. Fastest potential citizenship pathway, Bulgaria. 5 years of permanent residence is the qualifying standard for naturalization in certain circumstances, which makes the theoretical timeline to an EU passport shorter here than in any other country on this list. Combine that with the lowest realistic property entry points in the group, and the value proposition becomes difficult to ignore. Best lifestyle destination, Greece. This one barely requires debate. The combination of climate, culture, cuisine, coastal access, and a globally recognized quality of life makes Greece the emotional favorite for most people exploring this topic. The golden visa structure is still active in lower threshold regions, and rental income potential from tourism-driven short-term lets adds financial logic to the lifestyle appeal. Best Central European base, Hungary. Budapest is one of Europe's genuinely great cities. The infrastructure is excellent, the cultural scene is rich, the food is underrated, and the rental market provides a real investment return. The higher entry cost is the limiting factor. But for investors who can meet the threshold, Hungary offers a Central European platform with strong, long-term upside. Here is the final thought, and it matters. An EU passport is not just a travel document, it is access to a system. It is the legal right to plant a life anywhere across 27 countries. It is healthcare in Germany, education in Sweden, business registration in the Netherlands, and retirement in Portugal. It is approximately 186 countries of visa-free or visa-on-arrival movement, including most of the world's major destinations. It is the kind of optionality that wealthy families have quietly been building for generations. And what these 5 countries represent is that the entry point is lower than most people assume. None of these pathways are instant. None of them are zero effort. All of them require legal guidance, financial planning, and genuine commitment to the process. But the structure exists. The only difference is that one of these routes requires a decision, a plan, and a relatively modest property purchase to get started. Which country is on the radar? Drop it in the comments. And if this kind of content is useful, subscribing to Horizon Society means more research. Exactly like this lands whenever a new opportunity worth knowing about emerges.